A narcotics agent named Jackie is in the middle of a phone call with an informant who sounds panicked and terrified. Jackie does her best to calm the person down, reassuring them that she will protect their safety no matter the risk. After the call ends, Jackie steps out of her vehicle. Without warning, a group of hired gunmen suddenly ambushes her. The attack is fast and ruthless, clearly meant to kill her. Even after taking serious injuries, Jackie manages to return fire. Barely hanging on, she quickly sends out a message on her phone, then throws the device into the water to erase any trace. Moments later, the attackers move in again and brutally finish the job, killing her at the scene. This is where everything starts. This is the rip. The story picks up the next day with Matt, the leader of Jackie's unit. He is overwhelmed with anger and grief, arguing fiercely with his superior, unable to accept the sudden loss of someone close to him. His boss then reveals that the FBI has formed a special task force and begun investigating everyone in the unit. The FBI believes Jackie's murder was not just an outside hit, but may have involved betrayal from within. An FBI agent named Scott takes charge of the interrogations. He questions the team members, including Numa and Mike. Both speak highly of Jackie, describing her as a good person and admitting that her death has left a deep impact on them. Scott then turns his attention to JD. JD claims he has no idea why Jackie was targeted. However, Scott already knows the two had a personal relationship. JD explains that he spent nearly every night with Jackie in the days leading up to her death. As Scott applies more pressure, tensions rise and the situation turns physical until other agents step in and break it up.
Fuck off me!
Afterward, Matt's superior questions why conflicts between Scott and JD keep happening. Matt explains that the two men are brothers, and their long-standing rivalry has always made their relationship volatile. Not long after, JD is seen retreating into a bathroom, consumed by anger and grief. Matt follows him, and it becomes clear that JD harbors deep resentment toward his brother. Both men are devastated by Jackie's death and are determined to uncover who is truly responsible. At the same time, Matt is seen holding Jackie's final message. In it, she warns about a house rumored to contain a massive amount of cash. Shortly after, a DA agent named Kyle arrives with his team. Matt joins them and explains that they have just received important intel about a property worth investigating. Based on this information, both teams agree to move in together. Before the raid begins, Matt deliberately gives each team member a different estimate of how much money might be inside. He tells Mike it could be around $500,000. When JD asks, the number jumps to nearly $3 million. To Tabitha, Matt downplays it even further, saying it might only be about $75,000. Soon they arrive at the location and encounter a woman named Desi, who is known to be from Mexico. This immediately raises suspicion, since the area is often linked to cartel activity. Matt states that they have a warrant, and the team enters the house. K9 units are deployed and quickly signal that something is hidden upstairs. Matt pressures Desi with questions about the money, but she insists she has no idea what he's talking about. Matt and JD head upstairs and discover several large drums concealed from view. They return to confront Desi and demand answers. She explains that she lived in the house with her grandmother and had only come back to take care of her medical needs. She says her grandmother passed away 3 months earlier and firmly maintains that she knows nothing about the money. Matt and JD explain that nearly every property in the area is known to be under mafia control, so their suspicion is not without reason. From Desi's point of view, however, their behavior looks more like law enforcement abusing their authority. She notices 2 unusual tattoos on Matt's hands and asks about their meaning. Matt briefly explains that one represents a question and the other represents the answer. When one of the drums is opened, Matt and JD are stunned. Each container holds around $1.4 million in cash, and there are 14 drums in total. The combined amount is close to $20 million. Matt admits that this is the largest seizure he has ever encountered in his career. According to procedure, all seized cash must be counted on site. Matt orders everyone to hand over their phones. Despite some initial protests, the team eventually complies. Matt moves all the drums downstairs. Numa and Tabitha are assigned to count the money, while Mike is told to stand guard outside. JD warns that the night is getting late and that having that much cash on hand makes the situation extremely dangerous. He urges them to leave immediately. Matt refuses, insisting that rules must be followed and the money must be documented before it is moved. Suddenly, Mike alerts the team that several police cars have stopped outside. JD and Mike step out and are immediately questioned by the officers about why they are there. They explain that they are conducting an official operation. However, the officers claim they were never notified. JD grows even more suspicious when he recognizes the officers as low-ranking cops, including one who is known to be under suspension. Realizing how dangerous the situation is becoming, Matt quickly retreats back into the house. They all understand that if the officers outside discover the cash, everything could spiral out of control. The team prepares for the worst. Weapons are drawn and bulletproof vests are put on. Outside, Mike secretly pulls out a backup phone and sends a short message to his superior. He reports that they have discovered an enormous amount of cash and warns that the situation is close to collapsing. Meanwhile, Matt continues to pressure Desi. She finally gives in and reveals that two unknown men had come earlier and left the money behind. They told her that if anyone showed up, she should let them take as much money as they wanted, because to them, the cash meant nothing. Matt and JD then check Desi's background, but they find no serious criminal record that could link her to the money. Not long after, a call comes in. A mysterious voice on the other end instructs them to take only what they need and leave immediately, emphasizing that no life is worth the risk of losing $500,000. With emotions running high, JD pulls Matt into another room and demands an explanation. Matt had previously mentioned a figure of $3 million, yet the caller only referred to $500,000. In that moment, JD realizes that Matt has not been completely honest. Matt refuses to clarify. To JD, it becomes increasingly clear that Matt is carrying out a much larger and far more dangerous plan than he has admitted. Elsewhere in the house, Tabitha and Numa continue counting the money. The longer they work, the stronger the temptation becomes. They realize that taking even a small portion would be enough to change their lives forever. Outside, JD contacts Kyle and asks him to come help. He briefly considers calling his brother as well. Kyle initially refuses, but JD explains that Matt was the one who received the original information, which is why this house became a target in the first place. Kyle admits that he desperately wants to solve Jackie's murder. Since losing his son to cancer and watching his marriage fall apart, his life has felt completely out of control. In the end, he agrees to come and help. Inside the house, Desi notices Matt speaking privately with two female officers. From their body language and tone, she begins to suspect that Matt is putting together a plan to steal all of the money. Outside, JD meets with Mike, who points out how unnaturally quiet the neighborhood feels, as if no one else is around. Suddenly, lights in the house across the street start flickering in an odd pattern. Someone inside sends a mocking signal using flashes of light. Fueled by anger, JD moves toward the house to investigate. At the same time, Mike heads back inside to look for Matt. Without meaning to, Desi overhears Matt speaking on the phone with the police chief, reporting that the raid has only uncovered $500,000 and that they will be returning soon. Moments after Matt ends the call and leaves the room, Mike walks in. Desi urgently warns him that his boss, along with the two female officers, is planning to steal all of the cash. Not long after that, another phone rings inside the house. This time, Numa answers. The voice on the other end is cold and threatening, warning that they have only 10 minutes to leave or everyone will be killed. Outside, Mike tries once again to contact the police chief, pressing him to come immediately and secure the seized money. After that, he goes back inside and speaks with Numa and Tabitha. Both insist that the situation is still under control. Matt returns to the house and Numa quickly informs him that armed men are expected to arrive within 5 minutes. Almost immediately, gunfire erupts outside. The officers return fire. In the brief shootout, Tabitha is hit and wounded. Matt and Mike chase after the attackers as they retreat, firing at them. But the shooters manage to escape in their vehicles and vanish. Not long after, JD appears, dragging a man he managed to capture. He explains that the man has ties to a mafia network, even though he insists he was not involved in the shooting. Through him, they make contact by phone with a Mexican cartel boss. The boss states that the money found in the house does not belong to his organization and that they have no interest in it. He also explains that since Jackie's death, his group has been under heavy surveillance and they were not responsible for her murder. According to him, the real culprit is likely someone from within the unit itself. He stresses that he had no intention of escalating the situation by attacking police, which is why he never sent anyone to the location. This revelation shocks both Matt and JD. They return inside and Matt informs the entire team that the money is not being claimed by the mafia, meaning no outside group will come to take it. Hearing this, Numa immediately suggests that they keep the money. She proposes that only the amount Matt reported to the police chief be officially recorded, while the rest is quietly divided among them. The suggestion infuriates JD. He accuses Matt of working with the armed men outside and orchestrating the entire operation to steal the money. Matt fires back, accusing JD of being a traitor for speaking with a mafia informant. JD responds by pointing out that even the cartel boss confirmed they did not kill Jackie and instead hinted that the killer came from within their own team. JD openly accuses Matt of being Jackie's killer. Matt fiercely denies it, and their argument explodes into a violent fight before Mike steps in and breaks it up.
Cop killer. Fuck off me! Fuck you!
Just go!
Afterward, Matt orders everyone to pack up the money and get ready to leave the location. Mike heads into the bathroom and realizes his phone may have fallen outside during the earlier shootout. At the same time, JD calls Kyle again and pressures him to come immediately. Kyle agrees, and JD also informs him that their vehicle tires have been sabotaged, meaning Kyle will need to bring a truck. Mike asks to use Desi's phone, only to discover that it is in Matt's possession. As he looks around, Mike notices several candles placed throughout the house. He begins lighting them. Inside, Mike helps Numa and Tabitha move the money into bags. He gives them a specific number and instructs them to report only that figure to the other officers. Not long after, flames begin to spread through the house. The three of them carry the bags of cash outside just as Kyle arrives with his truck. The money is quickly loaded into the vehicle. Mike tells Numa and Tabitha to take Desi to the police station while he rides off with Kyle. Weapons remain ready as they leave the scene. When JD tries once again to contact the police chief, Mike reveals that Matt had actually given his superior a fake phone number. At this point, Matt's suspicion fully shifts toward Mike, whom he now believes is the true traitor. Desi accidentally overhears Matt speaking with the police chief. In front of her, however, Matt pretends to make a fake call. He even deliberately signals to two officers as if inviting them to steal the money, knowing Desi will report this to Mike. By doing this, Matt hopes Mike will call in his allies and create chaos. Even so, Mike continues to insist that he is innocent and claims he has no accomplices. That is when Matt reveals the trap he set from the very beginning. He explains that he deliberately gave each team member a different estimate of how much money was in the house. Only Mike was told a figure of $500,000. That same number later appeared in the threatening call JD received. Mike defends himself, arguing that his phone was in Matt's possession, making it impossible for him to place the call. However, JD then pulls out Mike's second phone, which he had taken during their earlier fight. That evidence exposes everything. The phone was used by Mike to contact the gunman and coordinate the attack. Cornered, Mike tries to turn the situation around. He claims that Jackie sent him a message the night before about the money in the house. According to him, Jackie intentionally gave different numbers to different people to identify the real traitor. The threat using his number, he argues, proves that he was set up. But when asked who was truly behind it all, Mike refuses to answer. Attention then shifts to Kyle. Matt and JD question why Kyle arrived alone without his team. Kyle casually explains that his unit had already been sent home. Instead of clearing things up, this response raises even more suspicion. Matt and JD immediately accuse Kyle of working with Mike. Kyle reacts with mocking laughter and insists they force Mike to call his superior. When the phone starts ringing, Kyle's expression suddenly changes. At the exact same moment, Kyle's own phone begins to ring.
Redial.
That is when everything becomes clear. Kyle and Mike have been working together from the start, planning this entire operation long before the raid ever began. Gunfire erupts without warning. In the chaos, JD is wounded.
Get down!
Kyle manages to overpower both JD and Matt, beating them down and stripping them of their weapons. With everything under his control, Kyle proposes a deal. The money gets split evenly, and everyone walks away without destroying each other. Matt looks straight at Kyle and raises the one question that truly matters. That question finally breaks Mike. He confesses everything. Kyle was the one who shot Jackie, and the two of them had been partners for a long time. Jackie was killed for the money. As JD realizes how critical that confession is, his phone suddenly rings. The call is put on speaker, and Scott informs them that the FBI team is already in position. Vehicles are blocking the exit from the front, and orders are issued for everyone to surrender. Knowing his plan has collapsed, Kyle makes one last desperate move. He proposes another deal, suggesting they kill Mike, keep the drug money, and feed Scott any false story they want. JD calmly shuts that down by reminding Kyle that the call is still active, and Scott has heard everything. Panic takes over. Kyle grabs a bag filled with money and runs. At the same time, Mike snatches another bag and flees into the forest. Chaos turns into a relentless chase. JD manages to force Kyle's vehicle off the road, causing a violent crash. Deep in the woods, Matt and Mike finally come face to face in a brutal fight. In the end, Matt gains the upper hand and subdues Mike.
Mike!
Back at the crash site, Kyle makes his final plea. He begs JD to let him go and take as much money as he wants. JD responds calmly by opening Kyle's bag and revealing the truth. Inside, there is no cash at all, only a stack of books. With nothing left to lose, JD shoots Kyle without hesitation, finally avenging Jackie's death. Elsewhere, Matt successfully arrests Mike and takes him away, determined to make sure he answers for everything he has done. Not long after, Numa and Tabitha arrive with Desi in a fully loaded truck. They hand over all the recovered money to the authorities. Once counted, the total matches exactly the amount Matt and his team reported from the beginning. Impressed by their honesty, the officials praise Matt and his unit for their integrity. Then an important truth comes to light. Desi receives 20% of the seized money. It turns out she was Jackie's informant, the same woman who spoke to her at the very beginning of the story. After losing her grandmother, the money becomes a fresh start and a chance to move forward. With the truth finally revealed, the entire team feels relieved and genuinely at peace. Numa and Tabitha return home, free from the pressure that had been weighing on them. JD meets with Scott to thank him for his help. For the first time in a long while, the bond between the two brothers feels warm again. Desi approaches Matt to thank him. Matt admits that from the very beginning, he believed Desi would tell the truth because he knew she was a good person. He also reveals that he had long realized Desi was Jackie's informant. Desi expresses her grief over Jackie's death and admits that she never knew Jackie had been killed. Matt then explains the meaning behind the tattoos on his hands. One represents a question, asking whether he is a good police officer. The other is the answer, yes. He shares that this question was once asked by his son before he passed away, and Matt promised him that he would always be a good cop. That promise is now permanently etched into his skin. After they part ways, Matt advises Desi to stay out of trouble and live an honest life. As morning slowly breaks, Matt and JD sit side by side, holding their drinks and quietly watching the sunrise. So the moral of the story is when money, lies, and coworkers mix, someone is always running, exposed, or arrested before breakfast.